Now I have to ask you a question. On your bingo card for 2022, was it on there that Ricky Martin was dating and having sex allegedly with his 21-year-old nephew? Because that wasn't on mine. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse podcast. Welcome back, everybody. This is Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. I honestly thought I was in the clear before I went on vacation. But y'all, it's still a cesspool out here in the world. So if you haven't heard, explosive details have come out about Ricky Martin allegedly. Earlier this month, there was some information that came out around, the moment that Ricky Martin was served with papers, a restraining order, but there were no, it was rather tight-lipped as to who was the center of it. Ricky Martin was served with papers allegedly for stalking and I believe domestic abuse. Well, now things have changed. Under Puerto Rican law, they had to keep the name of the victim sealed. But now it looks as though allegedly it was his 21-year-old nephew, his sister's son. The word is that they allegedly carried on a relationship for about 7 months, almost a year, and that the nephew allegedly broke it off, and Ricky didn't take it too well. And from that point, allegedly, Ricky Martin decided to not only harass the nephew, but also stalk the nephew. The nephew is allegedly accusing Ricky Martin of not only harassing and stalking him, but also of psychological abuse, and allegedly makes claims that Ricky Martin takes drugs, allegedly, and abuses alcohol. Going into this summer, I just did not see that coming. There are so many layers and so much wrong in this situation. First of all, Ricky Martin is one of the rare celebrities to not only have aged well, but has been fine over half my life. I'm almost 40. So here you have, when you first think of somebody so fine, man, woman, etc., the first thought to your mind is you could have anybody in this world. You can have anything, you can buy anything, you can have somebody on payroll to be whatever to you. Like, the moment you're walking out the door is Ricky Martin. Like, come on. And it's been like that since Livin La Vida Loca. And this trips me the fuck out. Like, and then on top of that, Ricky Martin, when he came out officially, by that point, he probably had a few, known to us, or some of us that were paying attention, relationships with men. And age appropriate, man to man. At one point, he was dating the ex-boyfriend or the ex-partner of Marc Jacobs. And another point, he was even married to a painter or an artist of some kind who was in his 20s. And they had two children. Like, they did the surrogacy thing, and, Ricky Martin was making the rounds. I don't think he had music out at the time, but he made it. He played it up. Like, he definitely was promoting that relationship as, when Harry met Sally kind of thing. Like, I think the guy hit him up on IG, and then they met. Like, happened to cross paths at a red carpet somewhere, and Ricky Martin knew. That's where I left off with Ricky Martin. Like, okay, wasn't he married and had a family and stuff? And that's not to say that he's not still, because it's Ricky Martin. Like, people are gonna have a story, but this wasn't on my bingo card. Like, and we've been seen and experienced a lot of shit the last 3 years, and that was not in my mind or my wheelhouse, because Ricky Martin and drugs, like, never made that connection before. But I do know that as a person that's part of the community, drugs is in the environment somewhere in people's lives sometimes, even to the point where I either associate or personally know two people that take them, and I could be recreational, but aside from the fact that Ricky Martin's fine as hell and could, with that physicality and that attraction and that passionate, that Puerto Rican, Hispanic, Latin thing that he has, like, how magnetizing that is. The incestuous part, I am not convinced. I'm not going to layer this or define this as some kind of relationship when it comes off in my mind that it's predatory in a way. Whether or not the nephew is of legal age, that's family, bro. Like, like your sister's kid, and he's 21. You've got to be somewhere in your 50s. Is the pandemic got you down that bad? And I mean, not for nothing, like, when I was early in my 30s and stuff, I get that, like, younger and stuff, like, everybody has that thing, but in your own family tree, and I mean, who's to say that, like, I'm most curious. I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm most curious as to how this developed and everything. Like, I'm willing to bet that there was probably some grooming involved, or some kind of hush money involved. There has to be some variable, because the nephew is 21, family already. So I just, and the laws in Puerto Rico could be slightly different. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Puerto Rico is I think a province or a U.S. territory. So I'm pretty sure with that, the law and the sentencing or whatever Ricky Martin's up against is very strict and heavy. Um, they say he could possibly be looking up to 50 years, looking at a sentence of up to 50 years on this. And just on the, I believe, the incest part, which is, I believe, Puerto Rican 50 or 25, I believe, is the law number. And what it's sick and sad, because it's a grown ass man and essentially, a kid that's like 21. And the story goes that they've been dating for 7 months, like I said, right? And I'm not going to be one of those that are going to categorize it as a relationship. I just feel like there's something, I feel like this cultivation of this incestuous thing had to be going on longer than that. Now, my theory is that, like, the non-physical sexual stuff happened probably years prior. And then I guess once the nephew turned 21, it was on like popcorn. Like, Ricky Martin, though, like, that is so wild to me because, not for nothing, Ricky Martin, although he hasn't had like a consistent career, and he's still a name, you know what I mean? Like, Shakira and some of the other Latin folks have kind of expanded the Latin music and everything and probably sold more records than he has. But Ricky Martin, like, you say that name and people are like, oh, and he still tours and stuff, and was looking really good the last couple of years. He was making the rounds. I don't think he had music out at that point, and he was looking pretty good. And, there was a time where he had like backed out of the limelight to focus on being a father, because he has 2 kids, I believe. Not sure if they're fraternal or paternal twins. And that was the image. Now he's facing this, and of course, when news breaks, the other person goes on the defense and is claiming the allegations are false, this and that. But best believe, if y'all are living in 2 different countries and you're texting and calling and messaging your nephew regularly and not for anything else than what is implied, right? Like, you're not calling him or texting him wondering, where, his mom is, and if you guys have family plans or holiday plans. Like, if this nephew was smart, he would have that iCloud paid every month. He'd have that 2 terabyte plan if he has an iPhone, and he'd have everything saved. Like, I'm not above celebrities that are like predatory and incestuous and just out of their goddamn minds being pulled out. Like, you have the incest and you have the stalking and the harassment and the abuse. Allegedly. Now, as with anything, we over here at the I Refuse podcast will wait for it to play out, for the other shoe to drop. You know, it's not uncommon for like things related to celebrity stories that come out about celebrities to be like hot one week and then just all of a sudden disappear. Like, think about it. You know, Usher and the fan situation that happened, that made the news a couple of years ago. That was on everybody's eyelids for about a couple of days, for a week or so. I think the girl even had got Gloria Allred of all people. Now, that's a woman who will take what she can. But just as soon as that came up, it disappeared. So, I don't know. Like, this can go in a multitude of directions where it's like, oh, you know, Ricky Martin could say something like, oh, the nephew's trying to blackmail me. Oh, this isn't true. This is that. It could be a real mess. But going into the rest of this week, I did not see this coming. You know, we're about halfway through 2022, and shit is blowing my mind. And then that comes on the tail end of Elon Musk's, I believe, father impregnating his stepdaughter. When I tell you every week feels like a Lifetime movie, like, are we in a TV movie and we just don't know it? Because people are really wilding out here. A common theme on the podcast is that this Panasonic has everybody down bad, like real bad. If we're not like cracking under the stress and of not only Panasonic but the disconnect from not seeing people on a regular basis going to work, it's making people greedy. It's making people selfish. It's turning people into either something that is not familiar to any of us, or something, or an even bigger version of what's always been there. And every week I'm saying to myself under my breath, when is the meteor coming? And does any one of y'all have it on speed dial? I mean, there's an HOV lane on 495. I'm sure that the meteor can come with that. And I'm ready. Like, the earth is drowning into the sea, and we are just acting up and being ugly out here. This Ricky Martin situation, there's no way to cut it. If it's not sick, it's sad. If it's not sad, it's very troubling. If it's not troubling, it's criminal. If it's not criminal, there's more than likely something about it that just doesn't make sense. And you know me, I'm one to exercise every avenue, exhaust the critical thinking before I have an opinion. As you've seen during this video, I'm like saying allegedly. I'm not like pro Ricky Martin or anything. I mean, he has a couple of bops and a couple of hits, but that was back when I was in like the military. I got that album with Livin La Vida Loca on it, and I think I have the one after that. But if you gross, man, you are gross, and it just befuddles my fucking mind. Where it's like, Ricky Martin, bro, like, you are walking sexual napalm. You are a Latin daddy. You could have any person you want. And allegedly you go for your nephew. And this had been going on for a while. And allegedly you couldn't take the nephew breaking the relationship off. That's all I got. This is Mr. Fox That I Refuse podcast. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you see us. We're on 8 streaming platforms, and we're here on YouTube. We just uploaded a new episode on the streaming platforms. Mixed Nuts 10. It's almost 2 hours of content. I may continue to do weekly episodes through my birthday. Probably take part of August off and then come back in like October with a new season. Nevertheless, y'all stay hydrated, stay cool, keep your eyes on your paper, and take it easy. Peace.